Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to talk about whether or not the spec on a Ferrari makes or breaks it.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, and this is our dealership, NG Supercars. And we have a whole lot of Ferraris in here today, actually about 16 or so. And we've seen a lot of Ferraris, and I'll tell you, what's really interesting is once you see enough of the cars, you start really paying attention to the spec. And it's not as much an important thing on some of the older cars because admittedly there weren't as many options. But on the new cars, there was a lot of options. And then the new cars, there's some crazy stuff. And of course you have like the one-offs and ulterior, I can't even pronounce that word, the really custom shit. So anyway, we're gonna talk about whether or not the spec makes or breaks a car and how that affects the buying and selling of the car, the resale value, and things like that. So if that sort of stuff is interesting to you, we do all sorts of videos about Ferrari ownership. So do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. And you can support our channel by going to normalguysupercar.com. There you can buy services from us or parts, and ngsupercars.com, our dealership website. So we do appreciate all you guys' support. You guys have been supporting us for almost a decade now, which is amazing. Anyway, let's talk about some specs. And as you can see, I have a couple different specs here, and probably the single most important thing in a spec is the color. So yes, you have the traditional Rosso Corsa, the Ferrari red. And well, there's a reason why so many Ferraris come in Rosso Corsa, because you can't go wrong with it. It is, yes, maybe some people find it boring because all Ferraris have it as, you know, like all Ferraris are red, right? This is the red they think of. I mean, look at in our shop right now, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the Ferraris in our shop are in Rosso Corsa. Well, there's one big advantage about Rosso Corsa, which is everyone likes it. Yes, it is popular because people want it. The Rosso Corsa tan is, of course, the most traditional look on a Ferrari, and it's hard to go wrong with that. So yes, the color definitely makes a big difference. And I would say it's more so that color can be a negative more than it can be a huge positive. So yes, if you get certain rare colors, it may actually increase the value of the car, but generally it's more of a problem of if you get a bad color, it may actually devalue the car a little bit, or it just makes it a lot harder to sell. So none of the colors in the shop we have today are really bad colors per se. Now, yes, yellow. Okay, this is a controversial color. Many people just straight up are like, I will not own a yellow car. When you're buying or selling one of these cars, if you have colors that people are like, I just won't buy that color, well, that makes it harder to sell the car. So the buying pool for this car is substantially less than the buying pool for that car, just because this is yellow. But there are also people who are like, I absolutely love yellow, or for example, black. Black on black is another pretty common spec that we see in the Ferrari world, and people love or hate black. It's one of those that black is hard to maintain. It's hard to keep clean. You know, it's one of those where I personally think black looks so good on certain cars, but my God, is it a pain in the ass. Like every tiny little speck of dirt or scratch or whatever, I feel like if you breathe on it wrong, it scratches the car. But when it's done right and everything's polished up, oh yeah, it just looks so good. Admittedly, also we're in Texas, so black absorbs all the heat, and that kind of makes it suck too. So the bigger thing is when you start getting to some of the more uncommon colors, again, they can help or hurt it. So some of the blues actually pick up values like TDF blue, NART blue. There's actually quite a few blues out there. I personally think a lot of the Ferraris look amazing in blue. And of course, a lot of the grays, there's quite a few grays. Some people specifically seek out gray Ferraris and they think they look absolutely awesome. I think a lot of times what you'll find is that the V12 cars more often came in more of these subdued colors than the V8 cars. V8 cars tended to be a little bit more wild. People were like, hey, let's go crazy. It's more of a sports car than a GT car. Very often, like F12s, we'll commonly see them in whites or grays or just, you know, softer colors than bright red. Now, on those cars, I don't know that some of those colors necessarily hurt the value as much because people like that. They want a more subdued car. But if you get certain other colors, and it almost is model specific. We've seen, for example, I don't know why, but for the Ferrari 360, there was a crap ton of them that came out in silver and some other similar, like this weird light bluish gray silver color. And we see them on the market constantly. Like, I guarantee you right now, if you go look at Ferrari 360s on the market, there's at least 6 of them for sale right now. And they'll all have like Argento Nürburgring or some other similar kind of soft gray color, soft silver, and a blue interior. I don't know. It must have been that was trendy at the time or something. I don't know. I don't know why it is. But for some reason, that color combo is just hard to sell. And so it does actually hurt the value. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I'm not saying it's not good looking. It actually looks fine to me, but people don't want to buy it. So every time we've had that color combo on a 360, which is more than once, they just don't sell. No one wants it. It's really hard to sell that color. Okay, so moving on from color, obviously the next big thing is interior. So yes, the interior color has to be appropriate for the color of the exterior. We've seen where people do some wonky color combinations, but the three most common colors you're going to see on a Ferrari interior is, of course, the traditional tan. You're going to see black and then Cuyo. So this is the traditional tan. All right, very common color. This is the classic, red, tan. That's it. That's the most common. Now, the second most common is probably red with black, which is over here. So I'll show you this. And personally, this is my favorite. I think red with the black interior looks so good. But here you go, red, black. There you go. That's it. Super common color. Now, Cuyo, we don't have any in Cuyo right now, but Cuyo is more of like the dark tan, like a baseball glove. That's that color. And it looks so good in certain cars, like TDF blue with Cuyo, perfection. Looks amazing. But once you get beyond just the color, you have all sorts of other options. So you have stitching options, for example. You can have red stitching, you can have all sorts of different colors on the stitching, and you can even have piping on the seats. Let's go over here. This car has red piping, so you can see. There you go. Red piping on the outside of the seats. Now, some people love or hate the red piping. I personally think the red piping looks really good. Beyond that, there's, of course, different seat options. There's usually 3 or so seat offerings, at least on the modern cars. Not necessarily true on some of the older cars. But you have kind of the base seat, which is like, I don't know, hard to explain. I'll go to the second type of seat, which is the most common, which is the Daytona seats. So these are the Daytona seats. And what that means is it's got these inserts right here. All of those inserts are the Daytona striping. Okay, so that's the Daytona seat option. Do we have a non-Daytona seat? Nope, that one's got Daytona seats. Now, if you notice, these Daytona seats don't have red stitching. It looks a little bit different. These Daytona seats over here actually have Alcantara inserts, which is pretty cool. So you could get those in different colors, of different material. We could see them in Alcantara. You could see them in different, again, all sorts of different things. So like right here, Daytona seats, black inserts. Okay, what do we got over here? Oh, look at Daytona seats with red inserts and red striping on the seats. So very cool combinations there. You could get the Cavallino on the headrest, which I don't know if that was an option or not on the Daytona seats. But anyway, so you've got Daytona seats, you've got the base seats. Oh, are those base seats? I think we might have some base seats over here. Nope, I lied. More Daytonas. Dang. Okay. Well, the other seat is the carbon seat. So this is the carbon seat. Some people call it the gold rake seat. They had different designs on different generations. And as you can see, they are much thinner, bigger bolsters, and of course the back of the seat is made out of carbon fiber. Now the interesting thing is you could get the carbon seats in different styles. You could get them with Daytona striping. You could get them with this design. I think this is the gold rake where it's got these kind of like downward facing pattern, but all sorts of different combinations on the seats. Now, the other thing is you could have power seats and manual seats. I believe all of the carbon seats are manual. The misconception is that I think that all Daytona seats might be electric, but you could get the base seats in electric or not. So they could be manual. So here again, Daytona with red striping. So lots of different seat combinations. Now, the carbon seats on the earlier cars were super, super rare. So like somewhere around 1,000 or less of them in the 430s, and even less than that in the 360s. And believe it or not, they even had them in the 355s, and I think even the 348s, although those were extraordinarily rare. So you do have all sorts of different seat options, and people are definitely willing to pay more for the carbon seats. They absolutely increase the value of the car, 100% chance of that. So you can see here is the Daytona seats in the 360, and they look a little bit different. Here they are again. than the Daytona seats in the 430. So the Daytona seats are actually quite comfortable. I'm a big fan of them. I think Scott's car. Here you go. Not Daytona seats. These are the regular seats.
The older style base seats.
Well, it's not that they're older. They're just not Daytona stripes.
Yeah.
So it's still the comfort style where it's got lots of plush stuff and it is electric, but no Daytona striping. So what is this one? I don't even remember what this one is. Oh yeah, the seats are on the ground. Oh, look at Daytona seats. Again, kind of like a tan with that. That's Kuyo. So it's tan and Kuyo. That's pretty cool. All right, so those are kind of like the three main seat options. And yes, the seats absolutely do affect the value of the car and its sellability. So that 458 with the carbon seats back there, 100% would sell better for more money and faster than the exact same spec car with Daytona seats or the base seats. And the Daytona seats car would probably sell faster than the one with base seats, although not as dramatic a difference. So yes, that does make a huge difference. Okay, so moving on from, those are kind of like the two biggest things. So moving on, carbon fiber options. Okay, here's where, again, modern cars makes a huge difference, and there was more and more of it as time went on. So I don't even know how much the 360 even had carbon fiber as an option from the factory. So if you see a bunch of stuff like carbon fiber consoles and stuff, 99, actually 100% of them are aftermarket. So none of those were factory carbon fiber, but you could get carbon fiber in a 430. So let me try and find one of these has carbon fiber. I know that. So carbon fiber center console, you could get carbon fiber steering wheel, you could get carbon fiber kick plates. Nope, not that one. Where is it? One of these has a carbon fiber center console. I think it's this one. All right, there you go. Carbon fiber center console, carbon fiber steering wheel. Yeah, that is a rare option on the 430, and that is absolutely worth a substantial amount of money. You got the carbon fiber vent surrounds. You got the carbon fiber instrument cluster C, that is in carbon fiber. You could get carbon fiber shift paddles. You could get carbon fiber kick plates. This is factory, and this is factory. So again, all that carbon fiber there. You could get carbon fiber engine bay panels. This one does not have them. It does have the carbon fiber air boxes. And you could get the carbon fiber challenge grille along with the carbon fiber rear diffuser. And I'm trying to think if there anything else that came in carbon fiber on the 430s. It might have been. There's a few other things. I know the Scuderia, the headlights had carbon fiber inside them, or at least I think it was an option. So the carbon fiber stuff doesn't seem to affect the values as much as like seats or color, but when it's kind of like if you have one or two pieces of carbon fiber, doesn't really matter. But if you have a crap ton of carbon fiber, it matters a lot. If like this is where we start talking about like low spec versus high spec. You start adding a bunch of carbon fiber, it makes the MSRP go up tremendous amount of money. And that's when we start talking about like, oh, this is a high spec car. Probably because it's got a bunch of carbon fiber. You can see carbon fiber front canards on this 458, carbon fiber instrument cluster, carbon fiber center console, carbon fiber steering wheel, carbon fiber shift pedals. Yeah, this one has a lot of carbon fiber. Carbon fiber diffuser. It's off the car right now. Obviously aftermarket carbon fiber tips, carbon fiber fog light trim. Yeah, you could go really nuts on the 458 with the carbon fiber. There was a crap ton of carbon fiber options versus the 430 had some, and the 360 basically had none. So they really dialed it up. And now the modern stuff beyond the 458, you could get everything in carbon fiber basically just goes nuts. So yes, carbon fiber does affect the value and certainly makes cars easier to sell. The more the better, pretty much always. So it's just, yeah. Okay, so moving on to, this was actually an option only in certain years, but carbon ceramic brakes. Okay, so on the 458, carbon ceramic brakes are standard. You got them, period. Prior to that, the 430, you had carbon ceramic brakes and you had steel brakes. So easiest way to tell, well, I mean, other than just looking at the rotor, but like when you're looking at pictures, the carbon ceramic brake caliper is much bigger than the regular rotor, you can see. And if you notice, the regular rotor sits at like 90 degrees and the carbon ceramic rotor sits at like more than 90 degrees. It's angled down. So there you go, carbon ceramic brakes on the 430, because carbon ceramic brakes were not an option even available on the 360. So on the 430s, yes, carbon ceramic brakes do make the cars worth more because it was such an expensive option on the car. So I personally love them. If I was buying a 430, I would seek them out because they don't make any brake dust. They're a lot easier to maintain. And I know people freak out. They're like, oh my God, but the rotors are $20,000 if they go out. Oh my God. Dude, these things last like 100,000+ miles if you aren't tracking the car. If you do track the car, okay, they can last a lot less than that. The brake pads last typically like 20 to 40,000 miles. They last a long time. Sometimes a lot more than that. It just really depends on driving styles, but they're just great. And they don't make all the brake dust, so you're not having to constantly wash your wheels and deal with all that shit. Now, the downside is that they tend to squeak and be a little bit noisy, so there is that. Moving on from the brakes, now you got wheels. What about the wheel options? Well, what we've found is there are certain wheels that people think are ugly and certain wheels that people think look good. The vast majority of the wheels look good. So I don't know that they necessarily increase the value of the car by any amount, but they might make it harder to sell if you got one of the ones that people don't like. So on the 430, that is the most common wheel you're going to see, the double 5-spoke. No one seems to ever complain about it. It looks good. It looks appropriate. We actually frequently see those wheels put on 360s to make them look more modern. We also have the challenge wheel for the 430. That is also pretty darn common. People like those wheels a lot. They're lighter weight. They are magnesium, so they tend to bend easier. So if you live in an area with a ton of potholes, maybe don't buy those because you're going to be repairing them, almost guaranteed. Yeah, and then see, okay, so you got, yeah, these are challenge wheels that are not polished, so it's like the more traditional finish, and you have Scuderia style wheels, which you could get on the regular 430 as an option, and those look fantastic. So those are kind of the three most common wheels on the 430, and I think there was one other wheel, I can't remember now. 458, you got the 5-spoke wheels. You've got these weird big bladed ones those are the ones that no one wants, but these ones are great. You also have the diamond cut wheels. Again, if you have either of those, people seem to be happy. Okay, so those are 5-spoke, double blade. I think all of them pretty much have it. Now, the 360 had 360 challenge wheels, which everyone loves. You had the Starfish, which again looks really appropriate in my opinion, and you had the 3-piece wheels. So this is the 3-piece wheel. Some people love or hate this one. I think it looks fine. What do we got here? There you go. That's the Starfish. Super, super common. I think it looks great. It's kind of like the traditional look. There you go. Starfish on that one as well. It's kind of like the common default wheel for that era, and it looks really good. It just looks very Ferrari. So obviously I'm talking, purely about Ferrari 430s, 360s, and 458s, and that's just because that's what we have in the shop right now. But other cars, again, similar things. Certain wheels kind of maybe hurt the value, but I don't know any wheels necessarily bring up the value. And you can see they could come in different finishes. So that is a factory polished finish on the double spoke 5-star wheels on the 430. All right, so we've covered a lot of the big stuff. The last really substantial thing that will affect value 100% is convertible or coupe. And the weird thing is it's model dependent. So on the 360, for example, the Spyders actually are worth less than the coupes. And I believe that's because they may have actually made more Spyders than coupes, but also because the Spider tops in these older 360s are a little bit maintenance heavy. Same thing with the 430s. 430 coupes are starting to become worth more than the 430 Spyders. The Spyders used to be worth more than the coupes, but as they're aging and people are having to spend more money maintaining these tops, 100% of them get holes right here eventually over time. You can see this one's just starting to get little wear marks. They'll eventually wear a hole. They almost all have some sort of hydraulic leak at some point where the top gets misaligned and it ends up damaging the tonneau cover and doing all sorts of weird crap. You can see here, those wear marks are getting a little more substantial. So yeah, it's the coupe. Well, and then the 458 Spyders actually increase the value of the car by $20,000 to $40,000 because it's a hardtop convertible. So again, totally dependent on whether or not the car is a hardtop convertible or a soft top. If you look at the 355s, the Spyders are worth sometimes half of the value of the coupes or the Targas. It's crazy. But those are kind of all the big options. Obviously, Challenge Grille, I didn't cover that. That is another option that on the 360 people like. I don't know it necessarily changes the value much. There were different exhaust options. So you have the what we call the suitcase, which is like the standard exhaust on the 360. You have the sport exhaust. They did that on pretty much all the Ferraris where they'd have like a standard exhaust and then you have a sport exhaust, which is a little bit louder. I'm trying to think what else is a typical option scenario on these cars. But again, the newer stuff, it's kind of hard to keep track of because they had so many different options. Different types of stitching, different colors, different patterns, different everything, Alcantara, this and that. Headliners, stereo, those are things to consider. They have different stereo options, different speakers. The rear panel on these 430s, some of them were in leather. Some of them had Daytona striping. Some have speakers from the factory. So that's all different options. See, this one, kind of the same. Looking at this one over here, I think it might be about the same. Yeah, same. And you can see here, Spider. Oh, that one's got the speaker too. Yep. So yeah, speakers, stereo system. Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. The biggest option on the 430s and 360s affecting the value. Was it a manual or was it an F1? So F1s cost more when they were brand new, all of them. But they made so few of them that the manuals are obviously worth sometimes 3x more than the F1 cars at this point in the market. So huge difference in value. Obviously 458s and going newer, there was no options. You only get the DCT transmission. That is it. So there is no option on the transmission. But there you go. That is basically it for all the major options. I probably forgot one or two. Feel free to put them in the comment below if I did. Let me know, do you think more about just the color or the details of the spec when you're looking at cars? Or in the current market, is it just kind of like, I'll take what I can get? So let me know. And we will be talking more about these sorts of things. So please feel free to give us some ideas of things that you want to hear about, different ideas of things to talk about with these cars for new buyers or people who are looking to buy or sell these things. And of course, we're always looking to buy cars. So if you're interested in selling your car, go to our website, ngsupercars.com, fill out the form, and we can get in touch with you and see if we want to buy your car. But that is it for this video. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. We're doing a lot of cool car stuff. You're going to want to stay tuned. It's going to be sweet.